So in this topic, first of all, friends, I'm discussing weekly current affairs, and in this class, we'll discuss mains topic and also you can say prelims topic. Why I'm saying these lines? Okay, because just I have started recording. So now we have discussed recursion in judiciary. Recursion is related to General Studies paper 2. I have told you what is the doctrine of recursion. Recursion is a removal of oneself as a judge or policy maker in particular matter, especially because of conflict of interest. So friends, I was giving you example. So for example, if you belong to West Bengal, now you have case related to West Bengal and you will have to give your judgment. That means if you will give your judgment, maybe you will give a judgment on the basis of biasness. Because you can see here these lines, because human psychology tells us very rarely and can people take decision against their own interest. Decision against their own interest. And this concept of recursion is applied not only to avoid the possibility of partial decision, but also to ensure public confidence in the impartiality of you can say adjudicatory process. That means we can say he also ensure public confidence in judiciary system. Also believes you can say in judiciary system. And in this manner, impartiality, objectivity, and public confidence provide the function on which the superstructure of rule against bias is built. Bias is built. So please keep in the mind. This is very important. Now, friends, let's discuss. Next important points related to recursion. So let's move on. The recursion in India. So in recursion in India, absence of statute. Absence of statute. So we'll discuss. And friends, in India, there is no statute laying down the minimum procedure which judge must follow in order to ensure the impartiality. And however, courts have always insisted that judge and other adjudicatory authorities must ensure that they have to ensure principle of impartiality. Then in India, friends, inspired from natural justice. In India, inspired from natural justice. Please keep the mind. India inspired. That means recursion is inspired from natural justice. From natural justice. From natural justice. So the principle of natural justice have developed with the growth of civilization, and therefore thereof is often considered as a proper measure of the level of civilization and rule of law prevailing in the community. It implies fairness, reasonableness, equity, and equality. Then, friends, in India, there is also constitutional ethos. Ethos. That means constitutional morality. Ethos. So the Indian Constitution does not use the expression of recursion, and the concept divested of all its metaphysical and theological trappings pervades the whole scheme of the Constitution. And duty to act fairly and impartially is ingrained in the articles 14 and 21 of the Constitution. 14 and 21 of the Constitution. 14, right to equality. 21, right to life and personal liberty. And Indian courts have nourished these values with the reference to administrative decision making and emphasis on the test of real likelihood of bias. Now, friends, there is also Supreme Court views. What is the Supreme Court views? Let's discuss. So the reasonableness of the apprehension in the mind of the parties relevant according to Supreme Court, and hence the proper approach in case of bias for the court is not to look into his own mind and ask, am I biased? But to look into the mind of the party before it. So friends, there is a type of judicial recursion in practice. So what is the type? Let's discuss. So first of all, friends, there is automatic recursion. There is automatic recursion. Please keep in the mind. And there is friends, if no one objects, judge may proceed. So let's discuss. So in automatic recursion, there is an example of case of injustice. Okay, sorry, case of justice Markandeya Karju. And Markandeya Karju, the practice of automatic recursion when he withdraw his name, okay, from the, you can say ki Novartis case, by saying that it would not be proper for him to do, okay, him to deal with the appeal filed by Novartis. And his withdrawal from the case apparently meant to, okay, preclude fears of bias in the MNC company on account of an article he had written 5 years earlier against liberal grant of pharma patents. Okay, then if no one objects, judge may proceed. So please keep in the mind. So there is example case of justice SH Kapadia. So disclosing the fact that he owns some shares in Vedanta, he asked the lawyer, okay, appearing in the case at Punjab High Court, whether he should recuse, okay, himself from hearing the case if the lawyer had any objection. And had there been any objection, the judge would have recused, okay, from the case. So there is two types of, you can say, judiciary recusal in practice, automatic recusal, and if no one objects, judge may proceed. So please keep in the mind, this is very, very important. Then friends, there is also grounds of recusal. What should be the grounds of recusal? So let's discuss usual, okay, grounds of recusal. So friends, there should be if disqualification by interest. So it is where some direct or indirect interest in proceeding, whether, okay, pecuniary or otherwise, gives rise to a reasonable apprehension of prejudice, partiality, or prejudgment. Okay. Then disqualification by conduct. Disqualification by conduct. So friends, disqualification by conduct includes published statement and consists of cases in which conduct, either in the course of or outside the proceeding, give rise to such an apprehension of bias. Then disqualification by association. Disqualification by association. Okay. So disqualification by association consists of cases where the apprehension of prejudgment or other bias result from some direct or indirect relationship, experience, or contact with the person or person interested and or otherwise involved in the proceeding. Then disqualification, okay, by extraneous information. So what is this, friends? If there is overlaps, okay, with the third, but commonly consist of cases where knowledge of some, okay, prejudicial but inadmissible fact or circumstance gives rise to the apprehension of bias. So we have discussed these topics, recusal, okay, in judiciary. So we have discussed what is the meaning of recusal, what is the type of recusal, what is the example of, okay, which cases is the example of recusal in India, and what is the usual grounds of recusal. So do you have any doubts or is it clear?
Sir, disqualification
Any
of
doubt?
association I didn't get.
Okay. So disqualification by association. Please let's understand. Disqualification by association consists of cases where the apprehension of prejudgment or other bias result from some direct or indirect relationship, experience or contact with a person or person interested or otherwise involved in the proceeding. So we can say ki disqualification by association, that means if there is any association or company and you are related to company, okay, and if there is case, so you, okay, so the withdrawal you can say ki as a judge. So please keep in the mind. So there is a disqualification by association we have covered. It consists of cases where the apprehension of prejudgment or other bias, okay, result from some direct or indirect relationship, experience or contact with the person or person interested in or otherwise involved in the proceeding. Okay. So is it clear, Rishmi?
is there any example regarding this common example?
Okay, for example, okay, maybe let's understand NV Ramana. NV Ramana is Chief Justice of India presently.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now he has shared in Reliance Jio Group. And if, okay, a case you can say ki, related to Reliance Jio Group in Supreme Court, and Justice Ramana, okay, will have to hear. So according to disqualification by association, Justice NV Ramana should withdraw their candidature as a judge. So is it clear?
Okay, sir. Now got it. So any
Okay.
means any judge who is related to with any association, if he is withdrawing, then it would be coming under disqualification by association.
Yes, by association. Yes.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
sir. Yes.
So now let's move ahead on the next topic, and this is also important topic. Okay, so the topic is you can see a 60 years of Antarctic Treaty. 60 years of Antarctic Treaty. Okay, let's understand what is the context. In 1959, Antarctic Treaty celebrates its 60th anniversary. Anniversary. So friends, you can say ki background, what is the background? So various international conflicts motivated the creation of an agreement for the Antarctic. So after the Second World War, the United States considered establishing a claim in Antarctica, and from August 26, 1946 and until the beginning of 1947, Operation High Jump was carried out, and it was the largest military expeditionary force that the United States has sent to Antarctica to the present. Okay, you'll have to keep in the mind. And friends, in 1949, Argentina, Chile, and the United Kingdom signed a tripartite, you can say naval declaration commenting not to send warship south of the 60th South Parallel, 60th South Parallel, and which was renewed annually until 1961, and when it was deemed unnecessary when the treaty entered into force. And this tripartite declaration was signed after the tension generated when Argentina sent a fleet of 8 warships to Antarctica. And friends, you will have to keep in the mind in Antarctica, or also you can say the scientific basis increase in international tension concerning Antarctica, and the danger of the Cold War spreading to that continent caused the president, of the United States, Dwight D. You can say Eisenhower, and to convene an Antarctic conference to the 12 countries active in Antarctica during the International Geophysical Year to sign a treaty. So you'll have to keep in the mind, because Antarctica is a scientific base, which is important, place for, you can say, research. So you'll have to keep in the mind. And before Second World War, and also after Second World War, United States, you can say demanded, that means Antarctica is the part of United States. So please keep in the mind. So what is Antarctica Treaty? Let's understand the Antarctica Treaty. What is Antarctica Treaty? So Antarctica Treaty was signed in Washington, on 1st December 1959 by 12 country, so please keep in the mind, and whose scientists had been active in and around Antarctica during the International Geophysical Year of 1957-58. So Antarctica Treaty was signed between 12 countries, so you'll have to keep in the mind. And the Antarctica Treaty was signed in Washington on 1st December 1959, and it entered force in 1961. and has since been you can say acceded to by many other nations. And the total number of parties of the treaty is now 54, presently 54. And the treaty is remarkably short and contains only 14 articles. So in Antarctica Treaty, there is only 14 articles, and it remains the only example of single treaty that governs a whole continent, because Antarctica is a continent, And friends, principal provision include promoting the freedom of scientific research, the use of the continent only for peaceful purpose, and the prohibition of military activities, nuclear test and disposal of radioactive waste. So please keep in the mind. So what is the some important provision of the Antarctica Treaty? Let's discuss some important provision of the Antarctica Treaty. So friends, I have told you that Antarctica shall be used for peaceful purpose. Peaceful purpose you will have to keep in the mind. And freedom of scientific investigation in Antarctica and the cooperation towards that end shall continue. So this you can say freedom of scientific investigation is important or key points of the Antarctica Treaty. And there will be scientific observation, and result from Antarctica shall be exchanged and made freely available if there will be any scientific observation. So for example, India will conduct any scientific observation, that means India will have to publish their information, and it should be free. And among the signatories of the treaty were 7 countries: Argentina, Australia, Chile, France, New Zealand, Norway, and United Kingdom, with territorial claims. Or you can say Argentina said some parts of Antarctica is mine, so you will have to keep in the mind. So other countries do not recognize any claims. The US and Russia maintains a basis of claim. And all positions are you can say explicitly protected in Article 4, which preserves the status quo. That means we can easily say that no country can say that Antarctica is only, you can say, related to America, only related to Russia. Antarctica is the part of the world. And no new claim or enlargement of any existing claim to territorial sovereignty in Antarctica shall be asserted while the present treaty is in force. I have told you. So according to present treaty, no country can claim for the, you can say, Antarctica. And to promote the objective and ensure the observance of the provision of the treaty, all areas of Antarctica, including all station, installation, and equipment within those areas, shall be open at all times to inspection. So according to Article 7, please try to understand, if is there anything in you can say related to Antarctica, it can be inspected. It can be inspected. So please keep in the mind. So to promote the objective and ensure the observance of the provision of the Antarctica Treaty, all areas of Antarctica, including all research station, including all research installation and equipment within Antarctica area, shall be open at all times to inspection. This is mentioned in Article 7. This is mentioned in Article 7. Please keep in the mind. This is very, very important. So now, what is the expansion of the treaty? We'll discuss. Let's see the expansion of the treaty. So a key reason why the treaty has been able to survive has been its ability to evolve through a number of additional conventions and other legal protocols. And these have dealt with the conversion, or you can say conservation, marine living resources, prohibition on mining, and the adoption of comprehensive environmental protection mechanism. So please keep in the mind, what is the main reason of the Antarctica Treaty? Main reason is survival of Antarctica. What? Survival of Antarctica. So we have discussed related to disputes. So as disputes have arisen over the years, many have been addressed through the expansion of the treaty framework with these agreements, and this framework is now referred to as Antarctica Treaty. That means you can say there is solution of disputes, okay, in Antarctica Treaty. And scientific engagement in Antarctica is considered critical to exercise influence under the treaty. And new parties have to meet certain criteria relating to active scientific programs before they are able to participate in meeting as consultative party. And a total of 29 treaty parties including Australia meet this scientific threshold. That means if any country want to be a part of Antarctica Treaty, have to follow certain criteria, please keep in the mind, and after that they become consultative party. After that they become consultative party.